Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Shooting the with Yankee. As always, I'm Yankee, so let's start shooting. Today's topic is, in the vein of the video I posted today, what do you think is the actual greatest threat to the American way of life right now? What is the greatest threat to our democracy? The Republicans are doing a really bang-up job right now of trying to convince people that it's Antifa. You know, the leftists try to convince us it's the Republicans. So who do you think it is? Who or what is the greatest threat to our modern democracy, to our way of life? Now, I usually weigh in first. Today, I'm not going. I'm going to wait till the end and then I'll weigh in. I want to see what other people have to say first. I don't want to influence anyone that might weigh in before we're done. So feel free to get your answers in if you would like to, your responses in. You got until I say that's it for us to get them in. If you're here live, if you're not watching this live, of course, you don't have time, but I shouldn't have to say that. But I sometimes do. I get people that are watching it live yelling at me like, you won't there. I can't see the. You're not here live. We did this live. But as I was saying, I'm not going to weigh in first tonight. I'm going to wait. Before I go over, start reading everybody's responses, I want to remind everyone, if you want to help support the channel, subscribe, turn on all notifications. You probably won't get them because we're a restricted channel, but it's worth a try. Also, if you want to help support the channel, go on over to TYMPpistolproject.com. Over there, there's a link to my Shopify page. You can get stuff like your Waddle shirt, you know, and lots of other merchandise over there, although this one might save your life come Halloween time. So go on over there, get yourself some merchandise to support the channel, become a Subscribe Star member, a Patreon member, sign up to be a TYMP recipient, sign up and nominate a Handguns for Heroes person. So you can do all that from TYMPpistolproject.com, and there's information on any giveaways we're doing over there. So go on over and do whatever you want to do once you get there. Well, not anything. Don't touch yourself to my pictures. I mean, it makes me feel uncomfortable. But let's get over here and read the chats that are coming in here. Root Rot said the Trump regime, Christian nationalists, and most billionaires all working together to create an oligarchy modeled after Putin's Russia. Unfortunately, I have to agree with that. DM Fowl says greatest threat is ignorance wrapped in cognitive dissonance. And yes, that is actually probably the biggest problem, because if people weren't ignorant and wrapped in their own bubble, they probably wouldn't be so easily manipulated. Go Shadow says George Soros. Well, I mean, I think George Soros and his ilk are part of the problem, but to pretend one is worse than another, I think is kind of short-sighted. I think they're all pretty bad. Everything that's happened in this country that is negative or detrimental or divisive, everything has had a billionaire behind it. If you don't like something, there's been a billionaire behind it. Everything from the Tea Party to Antifa, there are billionaires behind it, using them to divide people. Even Turning Point USA, it really became a thing when Charlie Kirk got the backing of a billionaire who started funding all this stuff. It's the billionaires that are doing everything that they think will divide people, because that's the only way they can maintain power. Homesteading with Soulless Ginger said, howdy, Yankee. Oh, that's not for the thing tonight, so I will save that for later. Nominal Snowman says, AI monitoring the surveillance state and the collapse of the ability to resist, the masses being ignorant and cowardly, oligarch rule, wealth transfers up. Yes, all of that is a big part of what's wrong, I think, these days. It's all about money is power. And actually right now, absolute money is absolute power, because you got 5 or 6 families that control the vast majority of all the money in our country. That should never have been allowed. The founders warned against that. They warned against oligarchies. They warned against giving, all the money to corporations and the people who run them. That was one of the things they warned about. It seems like a lot of Americans are very selective when they listen to the founding fathers. If they listened to more of what they said, we wouldn't be as bad off as we are now. Big Cheese signed in, says the greatest threat is unchecked social media with their algorithms that feed you nonstop things that cause you to fall more and more into your own bias. That's absolutely 100% true also, because you got to remember who owns the media, who owns YouTube and Facebook, and it's the billionaires, the same billionaires that own the politicians, the same billionaires that groom and own the judges that are appointed by the politicians they own. Those are the people that own the media. And if you ever sign on now to, the worst is the Twitter or Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. Every single fucking post is confirmation bias and rage bait. That's all it is. It's give me a yes or no. Do you love blank? Or, oh, these people are the monsters. You know, it's just all fucking rage bait and confirmation bias. That's all it is, to keep people angry and divided. Sean Bain, that's why I don't use Twitter for anything other than to say, hey, here's the link to the chat tonight. And when I go over there to post it, I have to make sure not to read anything, or you'll end up stuck in either a loop of confirmation bias or of rage. Sean Bain says, we are the bigger threat. We are too divided. He's right about that. But who divided us? That's the thing. Who convinced people that have 95% of everything in their life in common that the other person is the 100% absolute opposite of everything you believe in and they're the enemy? Who convinced people that our side is all good and light and the other side is all dark and evil, when there's nothing further from the truth? Most of us have 95% of everything in common. Who did that? It's the billionaires. The very ones that own all the media, both social and broadcast. Officer Tater Hater says the biggest threat right now is the popo, and the only way to solve that is general population with Bubba and that big no. He's right. The police they're not the problem. The police are a symptom of the problem, because who controls the police? Well, now it's mostly the federal government. Who controls the federal government? The billionaires. So the police have become a private army for the elites. And their jobs nowadays is not to prevent crime or solve crime. Their job is to maintain the status quo and to challenge anyone who steps outside the lines. So, yeah, police are a symptom of the problem. They're a big problem, but it's because of other things. Where am I at here? Edgar Cortez chimed in and says, greatest threat is our loss of checks and balance in our government and our descent into authoritarianism because of an emasculated Congress and Supreme Court. Well, it's not that they're emasculated, it's that they're in on it. People keep talking like, oh, how can they sit back and watch? Well, it's because they're being paid to. It's their game plan. You know, they sit back and go, oh, woe is our side. Oh, the bad people are doing bad things. They could stop it. They don't want to. Any day they could lock it up. They don't want to. They want to continue making their paychecks and doing their insider trading and getting their big cushy jobs after they get out of office. And they have to cater to the billionaires. You and I aren't going to hire them after they're out of office and give them, $600,000 a year to stay home. They have to cater to the people that are going to do that. They have to cater to the people that give them the tips on the stocks and everything so that they can do their insider trading. They have to cater to those people. And yeah, checks and balances are pretty much gone. They've been just getting rid of all the checks and balances. And, they bitched in the first administration of Trump, like, oh, he got rid of all these checks and balances. And then the Democrats got control again. Did they bring any of them back? Not really. They were, they're gone. Well, nothing we can do. You could bring them back. You want them gone too. You want to be just as in charge when you're in charge as they are, even though it's the same team, just different color uniform. It's like when they play a home game team, when the team plays against itself in a scrimmage. And, if their colors are red and black, one side will wear red and one side will wear black. And they'll pretend like they're on different teams, but they're really just the same team. And they ain't trying to hurt each other, because next week they're going to need that guy. The guy's playing quarterback on the red team. They're not going to sack him because they need him next week to play quarterback for them. So that's all it is. It's a scrimmage game, and they're trying to convince you that it's the Super Bowl. It's not. State Hats says biggest threat is the manipulated news, which can reach you anywhere, even if you block it. Some one will share the agenda with you. Yeah, it's hard to be away from the news now. I try not to watch the news or anything like that. I just look for my news. But like I said, you can't even sign on to something without being bombarded with confirmation bias and rage bait. It's just signing on will get you that. Homesteading with Soulless Ginger says the single greatest threat to America and our way of life is the government and the powers that shouldn't be. Right. One of the worst things that ever happened is when they started giving corporations personhood. The founding fathers warned about the participation of corporations in government. They were very specific about that. So how could anyone interpret the Constitution as thinking that corporations are individuals when they warned against the threats of corporations? That was one of the reasons they left Europe, because like the trading companies had so much influence on government, and the church had so much influence on government, and yet everyone ignores their warnings. Where was I? John M. Mandrick chimed in and said, the Republican Party, who will not hold the president responsible, and Congress, who won't do their job and dump it on the president for a blame game. Well, they all do that, yes. But like I say, it's not that they won't do their job. They're doing exactly what they're paid for right now. Maintaining a division, maintaining the illusion that they're actually working for the people. It's a fucking scrimmage game. That's all it is. Instead of wearing red and black or shirts and skins, they're R's and D's. Let's see here. Lee Derby chimed in and said, federal debt and devaluation of the dollar will bankrupt us with inflation. Well, I think that's all part of it, to be honest, because how do you keep people, if people start to pay attention to what's going on, what do? Well, you make it harder for them to survive. You make it more expensive so that they're more worried about the price of gas and more worried about the price of hamburger than they are if somebody's taking away their rights or their freedoms, because they ain't got time to worry about that. I think that's just part of the game plan. The billionaires ain't going to worry. They still afford whatever they want. Where are we at? Real threat is too many bottoms, not enough tops. I don't think that's the government's, our country's problem. I think that might be your problem on a Friday at the Eagle or wherever you're hanging out at. I think you're confusing things. No judgment. I'm just saying. John Heasley is our final person weighing in here. Looks like we will be done after this one. He said, I feel like the single greatest threat is the government, period. Well, now that he was the last person weighing in, I'll weigh in myself. And I think I've made it clear along the way that it's pretty much everything everybody just said, because they're all hand in hand. It's the billionaires. It's the government that pretends to work for us while they're clearly and blatantly working just for the corporate class, for the elite, for the people that still believe that R&D means something after somebody's name, that it isn't just a scrimmage with different color shirts. It's all it is now. It's smoke and mirrors, it's games, and we no longer have the power. The government no longer serves the people, it serves the elite, and that's the biggest threat to our democracy. The stolen courts, the stolen Congress, the stolen everything. And it wasn't stolen. I say that like someone just took it. No, they paid for it. They bought it because we sat back and let them buy it, because you were too worried about what your neighbor thinks than you to worry about what the government was doing. You're more worried about what a bunch of teenagers are doing downtown than what a bunch of billionaires are doing in Washington. That's the biggest threat to our society right now. And until that changes, things are going to be the same. And unfortunately, they ain't going to give back our government. They aren't going to give back our courts. I'm a firm believer the only way we're going to get it back is take it back. And I don't think people are organized enough or nowadays smart enough to take it back in any other way than with a club and on a gun. So I think it's going to have to be either we're going to have to accept the fact the government is going to collapse, that this isn't going to be sustainable, that they're going to break the country up into a bunch of pieces that they can each control, with different billionaires controlling different pieces. Because face it, even if we go like, oh, the left coast becomes its own country, there's going to be a couple of billionaires that run everything. Same thing south, the north, whatever. We either have to accept that's going to happen, or we're going to have to take everything back by force. So that's what I think, and that's what other people think too, apparently, or something similar. I don't want to put words in people's mouths. But that's it for us today. How about you out in YouTube land? What do you think about this topic? What's the greatest threat to our freedoms right now? Let me know in the comments section below. If you want to weigh in on one of these conversations in person, come to one of our live chats. We do them every day at 6 p.m. And we'll be doing the America Guns and Freedom immediately after this one. So don't leave when I sign off. We're going to keep going. But otherwise, thanks everybody for coming today. Thanks everybody for participating. I appreciate the openness and the honesty with your answers. And I hope to see you here again tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.